So I'm making an Elsa quilt using this Elsa as I guess block fabric. And we go over here. This is the block I'm making. Yes, my drawing sucks. I have 8 different colors that I've been cutting off of, which I'm making diamonds for, and I'll show you how to make those in a second, as well as my corner setting or my side setting triangles, and then corner pieces. And this is the block we're making. So I know with white it's hard because you can see the seams through it, but once it's quilted it should be fine. So that's the block we're making. This will be for my Elsa quilt. I'm using white again with 8 colors, and those are my pieces, and I will show you how this is done from the strips itself. And I forgot to say that I pulled my colors based on the colors that are in the Elsa. So let me just lay these here so that you can see. Based on her lip and face color, I chose a pink. The blues go with all the blues. The purples go with all the purples that are in here, as well as a light blue. And I think there's more than 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, there is 8. Okay, I did count correctly. And then the white will blend with the white, and it's supposed to kind of remind the person that this is for of snow. So that is what we're making, and they'll all be different colors. And that's the fabric. So hold on. Okay, so first off, I started with cutting 2.5-inch strips. I just cut a few from every single color. So 1, 2, and then the half mark right here. So 2.5-inch strips. I'll just show you right here. They're 2.5 inches. Right there. And then I'm going to take a square ruler that has a 45-degree angle. If you don't have a square, you can use your rectangle ruler, as long as anything that you use has a 45-degree angle. And what I'm going to do, and because I save parts when I'm making things, I save all the little scraps, so I'll show you what I mean by saving the scraps. So I'm going to take 2 and open them up, because I cut this in 4. Normally I cut completely open, but for purposes to get this done quick, because it's on a deadline, I cut it in 4. I'm going to start with, here's the selvage end right here. I'm going to start by getting rid of that real quick. So I'm just going to cut the selvage off. Then I'm going to take that 45-degree line, and I'm going to line it up on the top of this strip, coming down to where the ruler hits the point at the bottom side. So my 45-degree line is lined up on the top, and my strip, the ruler is lined up with the bottom other side of the strip, creating a triangle. And I'm just going to cut that away, and that was not supposed to happen, but that's because I'm trying to make a video. So I saved these little triangles that we cut off the ends. So I have myself a little triangle stack, and then when I get to the other end, I save that as well. Let's straighten this up real quick, because it kind of wanted to move, because I'm making a video and it always messes up when I'm making a video. So let me just trim this real quick, nice and straight. And I'm lining my ruler up on a line. And I'm backing it off some, because I don't need to cut much. Just need to straighten it and hold it really tight. There we go. Nice straight edge, as long as it's straight. Now back to that 45-degree line. I'm going to use that on the top, and then I'm going to find my 2.5-inch line and line that up on this edge. Let me turn this like this so that you can see better. Let's not get those out of whack. I have them stacked up. So, again, here's my thing, my cut right here. I'm going to find my 2.5-inch line, and I'm going to line it up on that edge, like so. And I have all this stuff in the way that doesn't seem to want to move. Always when I'm making a video. Okay, so I'm going to line my 2.5-inch line, and then my 45-degree line on the top of the ruler. And this is how we make diamonds, because this is a diamond thing. So make sure there's enough of the ruler passing the edge. Put your blade on there and cut, holding the ruler down very well. My fingertips were keeping it from sliding, being on the mat. And there's one. Bring it close to me again. 2.5 inch line, 45-degree angle. Line it up like so, nice and straight. Cut. Do it again. 45-degree line on the top, 2.5 inch line down the side that we just cut. Cut. Come at it again as many times. So it'll be 5 times. 5 cuts is what I'll get from the strip, by the way. Line it up, make the cut, and for the 5th cut, line it up right on the top of the 45-degree line, as well as the 2.5 inch line. Make sure everything's nice and lined up. And now that last end piece, which is going to look funky like this, I'm actually going to save these because I have a whole stack of these. So not only do I have the little half square triangles, but I also have these, which I'm going to make something with after this whole thing is complete. All right, so for that. So this project needs, we're going to write it down so you can see, 2.5 inch strips. So 2.5 inch strips, subcut, 2.5 inch diamonds. And I'm just going to cut, I'm going to tell you this in advance, I'm just going to cut a bunch of extra. So it doesn't matter because each block takes 3 different colors and it's a different amount for each block depending on the color that's in the block. So 2.5 inch strips. I cut 2 or 3 strips from each color. So far I'm at 3 strips from each color. And then let me turn this so that you can see. I have my stacks piling up right here. And then obviously my little tiny pieces from the ends. So there's that. You can see my writing. Then the next step for the picture is the setting triangles, which are these 4 areas, and they're going to combine. That section needs to be 7 3/4 inch square. And I think I already cut those. So let's see if this one's the 7 3/4, because I doubt it. Yeah, these are the 7 1/4. So what you need to do is cut a 7 3/4 inch square. Okay, so here's your 7 3/4 inch square. What you're going to do is you're going to cut that square here, and you're going to cut that square here, just like that. You're going to cut it twice on the diagonal, and you will end up with these. So there on my 7 3/4 inch square, cut on the diagonal twice, because I had already got that far, and I'm sorry about that. Then next is, let's just move that out of the way, bring this here. Next section is the corners, all 4 corners. That is a 7 1/4 inch. 7 1/4 inch square. We're going to draw this square, and it gets cut once. So that I can show you because I have a couple to cut. So let's throw this over out of the way real quick. We're going to grab the yardage, and these are both 7 1/4 inch strips. We're going to make sure that it's on a line like so. These are only 7 1/4, so these are, my block is really starched. It's these corners. The last one, 7 3/4, cut on the diagonal twice, is this section of the block. Now this cut right here is for these corner sections of what I'm making for a 20-inch block. So we're going to start by cutting off the selvage. For this I can show you how it's done. And this is, I know, a funky position for me to be in, but right now I can't cut left-handed because it's hurting. my shakes are making it bad. So I'm going to line this up on 7 1/4, which is right here, that first line after the 7. Oops, that was almost 7 1/2. I'm a retard. Okay, 7 1/4. My bottom is at 7 1/4 because that's how big my strip was cut. And I'm going to cut that. I'm just going to move it away just a little bit, put the next one on, 7 1/4, make sure it's lined up the whole way, and I should be able to get one more 7 1/4 inch. I'm going to move these out of the way so that you can see in the frame. Should be able to get 3 for the width of fabric, 3 cuts, which is 2 squares per strip. Okay, so there's that. Now I'm going to turn the block sideways, find my other, where do I keep placing these rulers? Oh, there they are. And now I'm going to cut this one. This is the 7 1/4 inch one on the diagonal just once, like I showed you in my little crappy drawing chart. This is for a big star block that I designed. It's to make it look like a snowflake. So now that's cut in half. We're going to take this stack, put it on the diagonal, cut it in half. So there's those. And last pile, because I had this 2 stacks, lined it up from corner to corner, and cut. And now I'm just going to stack them on top of each other like this. And I'm just going to stick them over here on my other pile of them. Right here. Because I have a nice big pile coming together. Move the long ruler out of the way. And I'll be back with some more cuts. Okay, so I wrote a little bit more down on here. So I have 8 colors. So far, I've cut 2 to 3 strips per color, but I just wrote 2 just to make a couple blocks to start with. They are half-yard cuts. That's all I started with. I also started with 2 yards of white, which I don't think I should need anymore, and I cut some 2 1/2 inch strips from the white. I cut 2 1/2 inch strips from all the colors except for all the white. I cut only 4, 5, 6 2 1/2 inch strips from the 2 yards of white so far. And then I subcut to 2 1/2 inch diamonds. My corner setting triangles, or side setting triangles, sorry, are 7 3/4 of a square cut on the diagonal both ways, creating 4 pieces. And then my end corner squares are 7 1/4 cut on the diagonal once. Sorry that my writing is very sloppy, guys, but that's the directions. Let's get some more of these 2 1/2 inch diamonds cut while we're here. I'm just going to cut some more up, and I'll just do it at my speed, and then I'll show you how to put one block together. And once I show you one block, you guys will know how the rest of them go, and then I'll come back with how the quilt is put together itself. So we'll just line this up right here. I'll tip the camera so you can see. This is just going to be a non-edited video. Just it'll have a lot of pauses, but it'll go right to the next scene. So I don't feel like adding music or anything like that, so I'll just chit-chat while doing it. Cut the selvage off, and my first cut is the corner and the 45-degree angle. So line that up, line this up, make sure it's nice and straight and flush, because I'm saving these little half square triangles. Saving those, remember, in my little pile over here. And then I'm going to line up on my 2 1/2 inch line, as well as that 45-degree angle with the top of the strip. Nice and lined up. Everything's nice and lined up. and just cut. And I just cut a bunch of them and make a big huge pile. And since I'm using solids, there's no right or wrong side. There doesn't matter, I can just make one big stack. Two and a half inch line up that 45. I'm playing with my rotary cutter as if it's a wand to explain, and I know that might be dangerous to you all, but one more, because you can get 5 nice cuts per fold of width of fabric. So if it's still folded, you can get 5 cuts, and I'm saving the ends for a different little side project. So there's that end, and I just put that in the pile. And then I just stack them all up, put them in the corresponding color. And I have some that I had already started earlier because I only needed 1 or 2 of. So I'm just going to line these up and quickly cut them. And then we'll get on to the next step. So 2.5 inch line, 45-degree line, 2 lines to line up. And I'll show you from a different ruler. So here's a different ruler. Here's my 45-degree line right here. So I'm going to line that 45-degree line up, which is kind of faded. And then the 2.5 inch line right here. Make sure it's nice and straight. Cut it. Move it out of the way. Cut another one. Line that 45-degree line up on the top, as well as my 2.5 on the side. And there we have the rest of these cut out. Put that in my little pile over here, a little excess piece. Let's cut this one off. And again, we'll move to an even bigger ruler so I could show you. So here's a bigger one. Here's the 45-degree line, way up here. We're going to find that 45-degree line, line it up like so, line up the 2.5 inch, 1, 2, count the half, line it up, make sure it's nice and flush. Oops, don't cut until you know. There we go. It looked like it shifted, didn't it? But it really didn't. Line the 2.5, it's just because I'm hitting the ruler with my waist. It's not good with these big huge rulers, but if it's all you have, use it. And I'll show you real quick on another ruler, just so you can see. There's this big huge one. Let's put it on the table more at an angle. Line up that 45 right here, and then the 2.5. I know they say to use the same ruler for the whole project, which is actually a smart idea because not all rulers are exact, which I have found out. Because, here, let me explain. See this one? The lines are thicker. That's a Fiskars, but it's an older one. On this one, the lines are really thin. So you have to be able to gauge, let's see if you can see, the fabric when it's lined up exactly in that center, like that. Well, on this one, the line is a lot thinner. So it literally sits on the edge and you can see more. So you got to make sure with some rulers you can see more. So I suggest the same ruler throughout the whole project if possible, you know. Alright, so there's the last of that one. And I am going to go ahead and cut the rest of this pile, and I'll be right back with how we're going to sew this together. So I have all my diamonds over here, and then my side setting triangles and corner pieces. And I'm going to sit this right here. And here is a drawing of a block, and I'm going to lay it out now. So instead of looking at it from where I am right here, you guys are looking at it from the side, but it's pretty much the same concept. So I'm going to start by using, let's use this blue. So I need 4 of these. And I'm sick, so if you hear any coughing or nose suckling. That's me, sick. And then I'm going to grab some white, because this block I've colored with some white in it. Just 4 of those, like that. And we're going to lay it just a little bit better, so that they all lay here. Now I'm going to grab purple. Do the dark purple. I'm just going to go on this side of the blue all the way around. I only need 4 of these ones. Every block is going to use a totally different amount of color as well. That's why I just cut up a ton of them in advance. Whatever's left over I'll make whatever with, but they're all going to have a different amount. Alright, now a dark blue to go on this side of the white. Actually, I think I'm going to use light blue because that just doesn't look right. I'm going to put light blue in this one. Okay, and now I need hold on, I'm looking at my chart. Okay. So I need some more of that dark purple, which is now going to go on this side of the white. Trying to follow my chart. And then more of this blue on this side. This. And then last, choose another color. We'll do light purple. Right here in this tip. And this tip. And this tip. And this tip. Pretty much creating a big diamond, 4-patch diamond is what I'm creating. Excuse me. There we go. I have created a 4-patch diamond, and I just realized I don't like this darker blue in there. I think I'm going to put a different purple color instead of the dark blue. Let's see how that looks real quick. Yes, I like that better. See, they don't always have to be, I don't know the word for it, but they can be different. Mix them up, move them around. That's why I'm putting them together this way instead of strip piecing. Because normally you can strip piece this stuff, but I'm not doing that. Okay, So now that we have this part, I think that looks way better. I'm going to take, remember those side setting triangles? There's the halves, they're side setting triangles. I'm going to take 2 of them, like this. Here's 2 of them. I'm going to lay them in right here. And all the next to me part, make sure they're oriented in the correct direction. And then here, the long edge of it, that long edge is what goes across the top, or the side, I mean. Sorry, not thinking clearly. Or not speaking what I'm thinking clearly. And then, one more right here at this end. Okay, so I'm done with the side setting triangles. Now I need the bigger halves that we cut. 2 of those, one here, one here, and then one up here. I'm putting it where the long piece goes down the center. One there. One there, like that. And last one will go right here, like that. So, all together, each block, or each big block that we're making, takes 32 diamonds, and then 8 side setting, and 8 of the corners. And sorry, this video is probably going to be a little bit on the confusing sounding side because I am not feeling good, but I'm still working. I think I'm just going to stack all these up out of the way. So technically, it only uses 4 because these were cut in half, so it only takes 4 of the 7 1/4 inch square, and then it takes 2 of the 7 3/4 squares that were cut. So this would be 1 and this would be 2. So, alright, let's get to how this is sewn together. Let me show you first real quick from above. So there that is. Now I'm going to sew this together in quadrants. So there's one quadrant right here. There's another one. There's another one. This is one. So I'm kind of trying to separate them a little. This is one. That is one. That and that. So it's going to be sewn together in parts like this. And then this. Okay, so let's sew them together. So I'm going to bring you right here. Sorry about that. Okay, so I'm going to start with this quadrant right here. I'm going to just bring it up here to show you. First we'll make the 4 patch part. So here's the 4 pieces. We're going to sew these together and I'll show you how it works. So I'm going to move the purples out of the way for now. And I'm going to bring this one, right sides together on here. And I think I've shown this before. I don't know how well you can see the white, but there's about a 1/4 inch on this side and a 1/4 inch on that side. Always do that with diamonds. Offset them, like so. That way when I put the needle down, it comes out at the top of that V. And then I just sew down this. And then I'm going to take that next one, right sides together, again, same exact thing, I know you can see this. Lay it on there, and you can pin it if you want, But see how it sticks out and creates a V, and then you can see the other end. It's about a 1/4 inch. I'm going to slide this next one under, making sure everything's nice and flat. Put a 1/4 inch seam. Now I'm going to snip the two apart, and I'm going to use my finger to press this one back first. I know I'm blocking the camera. It's so hard to do this. And then I'm going to press this one towards the darker purple, like so, creating, see this right here? We want that. We're going to trim off this little dog ear right here. Try to get your pieces as flush as possible. I'm going to trim this one off too while I'm at it. Okay, so this is how the piece goes, like this. So now I'm going to stick this right sides together. Now this is the part where you would want to pin. I'm not going to, but I'm just showing you that you can pin. So you would take this end, again, same thing, keeping that sticking out on this side and keeping it sticking out on this side. What you would do is you would take right here and line it up, and I could see through this white sort of, put a pin and then open this up right here, making sure that those seams are going to line up like this. But this is kind of like a just going to sew it and hope that they line up, because it's only a little 4 patch, so it should line up. The bigger and more pieces, the more chances I would pin, but right here I'm just not going to worry about it. So I'm just going to line it, hold it with my finger as if there was a pin there, come across, open it up, and see this doesn't line up, so I don't like that. It's off. This is why I shouldn't be teaching the no pin thing, but I'm going to pick and be right. So this is what we're looking for, right? Oop, gotta get it in the camera frame, right there, to line up. So I'm going to finger press this little quadrant. And what I'm going to do is put the camera higher. Give me a second. So this is how the quadrant goes right here. So first off, I made sure my piece is the way I need it to be. And we want this edge to line up right here. So I'm going to start by putting this right sides together, and I'm going to leave a triangle out right there, a little V on this line. Now I'm going to sew down this edge. It's going to stick out further. I made the pieces larger purposely. Sew down that one side. Finger press it in, or you can take it to the iron. I'm just going to finger press this moment. Now this end piece right here, we don't need that, so I'm going to trim that away nice and flush with the block. So it's nice and trimmed away. And I'm going to take the other piece, which is the corner triangle, half of it. We're going to put that right sides together, and we're going to sew it. Same thing, a little piece sticks out at the end, so I'm going to flip my block around. And this end should match up now. Once that little piece is sticking out right there, this corner right here should match. Everything's nice and lined up. Keeping that seam, I only finger pressed, so just going to hold it down. Now I'm going to finger press it in, like so. So here is now a little quadrant. Kind of looks funny. So let me show you how this goes in there. So this quadrant will go right here, just like this. So there it is. Oops. So now I'm going to repeat by making this one. So I know you can't see the white very well, but here's one of the pieces, and then the 4 patch. So I'm going to move those other pieces out of the way, and we're going to create the 4 patch first. So I'm going to lay it just like this. I'm going to hook these two together first. Again, right sides together. This one I'll throw a pin in it so that you can see better. Leave it on the machine, grab the next one, repeat the procedure, sew these ones together, keeping that little V at the start and the finish. Snip them apart, finger press, one way, one the other way. Technically that part don't matter. Alright, I'm going to snip away the dog ears on both pieces, although it doesn't really matter on the one, but we're going to do it anyway. So now I'm going to put these two right sides together. First I'm going to make sure it's laying in the orientation it needs to be. We want this to create a straight line. So I'm going to bring it down some. Again, making a little piece stick out here and a little piece stick out there. We're going to grab a single pin and I'm going to stick it in at about a 1/4 inch away from the edge where my seam will be. Fold it out and look, will that line up? And it's not, so we'll just slide it the way it needs to go. So according to my visual look, just needs to go barely down. This in about a 1/4 inch away from this edge. Fold it back and say, okay, that's where it needs to be sewed. So line it back up. Again, got a little V at this end and a V at this end. We're going to slide it under here. The needle will go down into that V. I'll pull that pin out. I'm going to hold this piece nicely with my fingers. I'm going to open it up and see that it's nice and straight. Finger press the block. I'm also going to snip away this dog ear right here. And then this is how the block is going to lay. So that means we will add this little one first on this side, and the big one will go on after on this side, like that. So let's put the little one on first. And it's going to stick out down here on this purple part, about a 1/4 inch, a little triangle. We'll start up here at this top edge. Make sure everything stays lined up. Going to press it under, away from the white, towards the dark. Finger press it. Again, I'm going to chop off this end right here. I know it's so much harder to see when I'm working with white down here. Now, we're going to attach this one, this piece, to this side right here. So again, this end will line up here, and this side should stick out just a little bit. So I'm going to lay this on here. And there's a lot of flipping and turning, so just make sure your block is oriented correctly. Again, I'm going to flip it under, finger pressing it towards the colors, just like this. So this should be straight and this should be straight on both these sides. So now I'll show you where this goes. So now that goes like that. And then we are going to sew from here to this side. Lining these seams now will be opposite of each other. or at least they should be. They're supposed to be. I'm going to sew straight down this. Okay, so here's the two pieces. I'm putting them right sides together, and I have not pressed anything yet. Now these corners will line up, they will not overlap, and these two seams will nest because one is one way and one was the other. So when I pressed it, I pressed this away from the white and this one towards the darker color. So they'll go opposite the whole entire way. Same with these two ends right here. And then this white will be the only one that gets flipped. So you can either go this way or that way. I'm going to use the lighter side as an up. So I'm going to start right here. These two pieces line up. No hangovers on this one. I'm going to come down here and hold this seam with my finger, slide on down. Then I'm going to take this seam back here before I do anything and just take that corner out just a little, bringing this one up to it. I'm going to get rid of that dog ear now that it was finger pressed the other way, just barely, only at the 1/4 inch part of the seam. Everything else I want it to stay the other way. Slide that under until I get to the seam. Then these two ends right here will match up. There's no overhang. They just line right up, these two other ends. And do not stretch or pull because now this is on the bias, which is the stretchy side of the fabric. Now this one gets opened up and we have a quadrant right here. Now this seam, once I take this to the iron, I'm going to open this seam up, if I can open it with my fingers. And normally I do not press my seams open, but this project I am, purposely because of the way all these pieces come together. So I would take this to the iron and press this seam open. If I can get it with my fingers at first. So let's take this over to the ironing board. Just don't mind the mess around my ironing board. It's kind of a disaster right now. I have a lot of projects going on. So for now, we're going to start by pressing from the back side, and I'll show you how it's done. So I used my finger to push this open for now. But what I'm going to do is hold this bottom corner right here, put the tip of the iron down on it, and slowly take that tip and just go down the whole block, spreading that seam open. So once the seam is open like this, I'm just going to, from the back, make sure all of these seams are going the way I want them. Okay, now this one that we flipped right here, you can either snip that or leave it. I'm just going to leave it with it kind of lifted like that, using the iron to put it down. So see, it kind of flips right here. I'll show you. So leave that just like that. It's no big deal. I'm going to lay this block down now. From the top, something is on my iron that just got on my fabric. Ooh, that's not good. Okay, so here's my clean iron, because something got on my other one, which got on the block, and I couldn't find my spray bottle, so I just poured water on it. And now I have a nice soaked piece of fabric, unfortunately, and a nice soaked ironing board, because I don't know where my spray bottle went. So I'm just going to put the dry iron on it to dry this corner. I don't know what in the heck is on my iron. So again, I'm just going to press it from the top. And I won't steam anything until I steam the whole block at the end, once the whole block is together. So for now, I'm just pressing it from the top, trying to dry this fabric. I hope it doesn't really make it look really dumb. And I hope that that dirt spot is not noticeable. it's dry enough. Let's take it over and show you where it goes. As soon as I get all this dry too. Alright, be right back. So, I know it's like wrinkled, but for now, this is it. So I'm making these quadrants right here. So now to assemble this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, and this one, and then assemble the two, and the two, and the two, and then I'll come back and show you how to do the four. But I'll just put this in fast forward so you can watch me do the rest. Okay, so now there are 4 quarters. Okay, so now we need to sew these together like a 4-patch. I'm going to trim away, because these seams were pressed open, okay? Just the center seam was pressed open on all of these. So I'm going to go ahead and trim these little dog ears off like so. You can use a rotary cutter, or you can use scissors, or however is most comfortable for you. Scissors would probably be a more safer bet, but okay, those are all trimmed away. So now I'm going to sew this together as a very large 4-patch. And we should be able to. So the seam's going this way, and this seam is coming down. So we should be able to nest most of these seams. So let me put this up here. Let me grab. We'll start with these two as the top pieces. How's that? So we're going to put these together like this. Bring it over here. I'm going to start at this top. And again, I want to nest these right here, those seams. So I think I'm going to start from this top corner right here and put that in, and I'm going to make sure that all these seams are nesting, and they're not really, but it's going to make it okay. And then all these were facing inward, so one is going to have to go outward, and I'm going to choose the bottom one to do that because that's a lighter color. Same what I did with all the rest of the pieces. I'm going to trim that little dog ear off, hold it down, nest these two up. You can use a pin. I'm holding it till I get to it, and then these two ends should match. Okay, and then I'm going to just finger press this one all to one side, and when I do the other one, I will finger press it to the other side. So let's put that down. Grab the other one. I know you can kind of see me blocking the camera. So this is the side right here that I'm sewing down. So I'm going to start by putting it right sides together, and I want to sew this seam. I want to start by putting these together. You can throw a pin in it to nest it. I'm not going to. Just going to sew. And then these seams should nest. Some of them are not because I was trying to do this while recording. instead of following my own directions. I'm going to flip this bottom one, trim off the dog ear when it's flipped. That way it can go under my machine. Kind of pulling it just a little. I don't want to pull it too much, but I want that seam to nest. And line these two ends up. Okay, so this one's going to go this way. So this seam will go up this way. Finger press it up. Now here should be the easy part, is combining them. So I'm going to bring it up here so you can see. Now this one is that way. Even though these seams are open, I just took down the bulk of the center is all. And this one is pressed down towards me. So you can see right here is a 1/4 inch. And right here there's a 1/4 inch of space. If you can see that, I don't know how well. But between this end and here should be a 1/4 inch. I'm going to put them right sides together. And I'm going to nest. They are going opposite ways. See? I'm going to nest these right up. And I'm going to come in with a pin. You can do it with a pin or without a pin. I'm just going to throw a pin for video's sake. I'll leave it right there in that junction. And I'm going to come to this end and start sewing. Everything else should line up. Again, I will have to flip one of these ends out and cut the dog ear off. It's going to happen on every single block. The rest of these all should nest. I don't want to nest this right. Coming to this center now. I'm really close. Pull that pin. It didn't really matter with the pin or without the pin because the seam still flipped when it hit the edge of my desk, or my lip on here. As long as I reached that point. Alright, let's flip this bottom one. Just use my finger, trim off the dog ear. Nest the two seams, if it will stay with my finger. I'm not really good with this today, guys. I don't know what's wrong, but there we go. I feel that junction now. Come here and match this end. And there we have crossed over right the tip. So in reality, there should be 4 points coming together. So let's take this over and press it. And I don't even know if I have room for this. Okay, so I'm going to start by pressing this long seam open. I know it seems kind of weird, but I'm trying to keep that bulk in that center distributed as best as possible, because there is a whole heck of a lot of seam coming together right here. So I'm pressing it open. I'm going to use my fingers to make sure that one goes the ways I wanted them. Use my finger to split that open. And you could have pressed it to one side or the other, but these kind of stars are a big hassle in the middle. Always, always, always. Don't burn your fingers either. Usually I finger press this open when I'm sitting down, so it's less hassle with the iron. Okay, now that that's done, let's take it and flip it over. And it's going to seem wrinkled a lot. They are never perfect, ever, ever, ever. It is a big block. I'm just going to steam the heck out of it. Even though this is not a very steamy iron. And see, it looks kind of wrinkled in there. With starch, those will come out. For now, let me show you the finished block. So there's a finished block. So this is what I'm making. These are 2.5-inch diamonds. And then this square right here is 7 1/4, cut on the diagonal once. This area right here is 7 3/4, cut on the diagonal twice, because this was a regular square, cut on the diagonal both ways. Again, 7 1/4, 7 3/4. These are 2.5-inch diamonds, creating one big diamond right here, then putting it together in quadrants, starting with one piece, then this piece, then this piece, then so on and so forth. So that's how it's done, guys. And let me show you the other one, which is buried over here. So there's the other one. You can put them together in any order you want. You can make them scrappy. I'm trying to make them look snowflake-like. So they're all going to be a little bit different. And then I will starch it so that this one lays just as flat as that one. So thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share my videos. Subscribe, like, and share. There we go. I said it correctly. Bye, everyone.